So it should be recording right now. So hello guys, welcome to this Ubitalks where I will be leading you around what is user behavior analytics and what are the benefits from it. My name is Felipe. I'm a data scientist. I have 7+ years of experience working in the data area. So I have worked with business intelligence, data science, and now I'm totally focusing my career towards this behavior data and trying to understand better what users do in most environments that we have. I'm also a tech enthusiast. I like to game. I'm a guy that it's always in the new stuff that is happening. I'm in crypto and etc. I'm currently working for a US online database and search engine company for animated GIFs. And those are my contacts. You can find me on Instagram and on my email. So what is user behavior data? Basically, on a short explanation of or definition of what it is, it's a data generated by or in response to a user engagement with the system or a business. So it basically answers what the user is doing at something. It could be an app, it could be a web page, it could be even a relation with a store or any interaction that the user has with something. It does not necessarily need to mean that he is actually using a specific system. It could be a user even joining a store and it being recorded by any sensors that the store may have there. So the basic definition of it is this, and the main question that companies have around their customer is what's being done by them, what they really want, and how exactly do we answer that? The answer normally lies on using user behavior analytics. It's basically a way of examining any questions that you may have around the customer behavior. So it could be, and it can be implemented in a simple way by basically tracking any interaction that the user may have. So this could include a tracking of page views, as I had mentioned, a user joining a store and it being recorded with a camera or something like that. An email click or sign up, anything that really was an interaction from the user and that we can use it to quantify and try to understand what they are doing. So, and this type of data, it's normally captured in the form of events. Events, it's something that we can think of as what? What are the user doing? And the event properties, there are normally extra information that you have about the interaction. We should consider it as the answer for any other question that you may have. So an example of events that we could have for an e-commerce would be a product being viewed, a product being added to the cart, or someone watching for their cart and proceeding to the checkout and finishing an order. Anything that the user is interacting on the e-commerce is recorded, and basically those are all events. And those events could feature multiple information about a specific subject. We could say that in the case of a product being viewed, it will feature information of the product like the SKU, it could feature the price, it could feature the product name, their variant. There is a big quantity of identifications that we could attach to an event and work with this later. And how do we use these events after we capture it? An event, as I have mentioned it before, it's the raw stage of our data. So if used correctly, it enables us to basically do anything that we want regarding the user behavior. So it could be as simple as a behavior funnel for an e-commerce, and as we can see on the previous example, we could see users going from a product view page, uh, adding this product to the cart and seeing if it proceeded to the end of the checkout. But this is really a simple way of working with this. You could even go forward and start having some machine learning, building a prediction model to try to understand what your users are doing on your whole environment. So basically, with events, you can do pretty much anything regarding data, really. It's all up to you on how you want to approach it. There are many ways of using it. And once you know how to handle your events, you will probably understand why are your users behaving in a sort of way. But how exactly this helps our company or business? First, if you stop to think, let's get this quote from Todd Gelling from Netflix. He's saying that it really doesn't matter if you are a 60-year-old woman or a 20-year-old man, because basically a 20-year-old man can watch Say Yes to the Dress, and a 60-year-old woman could be watching Hellboy. What does this quote is telling us, basically? We can't make assumptions. It's really hard to get what people are doing, so or what's their needs or anything they basically that basically classifies them. So you should use events and data to back up your decisions. You can't make assumptions just based on a persona that you created based on demographics or any kind of data that really does not tell what the user is doing. So the user behavior data will always show you a much more accurate view of what the user is doing, what they want and what they need. And it's up to you to really get this data, work on it, and know how and when to best deliver the best experience or a custom experience for your user. I'm pretty sure that this is the best way you can approach them. I'm pretty sure that it will give you the best return. And in the longer term, or even in a shorter term, you could achieve some things in the customer acquisition, like improving your rate of customer acquisition, basically increase your conversion rates and have a better quantity of transactions in your website, as an example. You could increase your velocity to purchase. I like to call this basically as the smoothness of your website or of your process of purchase. So you could really improve, let's say as an example, I'm seeing that my users are taking a long time to go from the cart to the checkout page. Why that is happening, what they are doing here, and what's stopping them from purchasing something. It's always important to see these with events. And basically, there are many other benefits from this in terms of customer acquisition. And also, on the other side, about customer retention and growth, it will improve your retention of users. It will lower the churn. It will make the user buy more, because they know that the experience that you are delivering, it's better than somewhere else. So it's important to really treat your customer on the way that you know they will feel better about the experience that you're giving him. And basically, those are just some examples. We have much more. We have a list that is pretty much gigantic of benefits that we could have. So I'm just describing some of them here. And how do we build a business strategy for achieving this? First, some companies really don't know how to work with their data. They are basically just storing it and have no strategy around this. So the first step that you need to take is that what and why we want to understand from our users. Basically, what is the main goal that we want to achieve? So if you look internally, let's say, again, let's get an example for Spotify. Their main goal is just to have people subscribing. Uh, that's where they get money, and that's what I assume that they want to have more. So try looking into your business and see what really you don't know about your users, and how can we understand them better and make them follow the path that we want. After that, you should establish other goals. So, okay, I'm telling you about Spotify being having subscriptions as the main goal, but it could have other minor goals, like, okay, we have the free subscription users and they are actually seeing a lot of ads. So we want to improve that. We need to reduce the ad size, or the duration of a video or an audio that's being played on the app. Basically, try to understand what your business need, and which KPIs are you going to attack in the short, in the medium, in the longer term? Because implementing events and implementing user behavior data, it's all about baby steps. So don't expect to have everything from the night to the day. Basically, go for it on step by step, and you will. I can assure you that you will have a solid plan and a solid way of working with the data. The third step, I would say that it is building a solid tracking plan. Know what you want to track from the users. So again, most companies really just track everything, but you actually need to look into your flow and look into your product and know what exactly you want to track, because it's all about trying to understand the customer, and not really, okay, I need to see if the customer uh, after buying something, he clicked on another product. Okay, this could be an important decision for your company, but sometimes it may not be. So get straight what you want, and build a solid tracking plan, and have pretty much what you need to track on a tracking plan, and have it written down. There are some available models of tracking plans on the web, so try using what the web provides you. And basically, as the last step, keep track of your work and the tools that you want to use. You can basically have quick wins with tools that really do not take that much longer to implement. So I'll give the example of Google Analytics. You could implement a really wide range of events on Google Analytics and really track everything that the user does and have everything. But Google Analytics has many, many reports, and normally you don't need them all at first. You can start with some of the reports and work with some of them and gradually implement the events and implement the following user behavior data in a way that you don't need everything. So basically try to keep track of everything. Okay, after this point, we have access to the transaction report. Okay, now we want the product added to cart report. So try to just follow baby steps again. Here are some examples of tools that you could be using. Some of them are really old in the market. So Google Analytics, as I had mentioned, it's one that is live since 2005. It's widely used across multiple companies, and it has a free membership, and it's probably the most used one. But you have another options like Adobe Analytics that is as powerful as Google Analytics, but it's a paid one. Amplitude helps you with some data that Google Analytics does not provide. Also, Mixpanel will provide you with some data that some of these tools do not provide. I have mentioned Crazy Egg and Hotjar as great tools to work with. Basically, screenshots and screen recording of your users. So those are not tools based on events. They are basically based on images. And they have some of the user behavior. So you will know how users are clicking or behaving on a web page, for example. But they do not work with events. So you won't be able to really access the data. And in the future, let's say that you want to create a prediction buying model with machine learning, you won't be able to do that with Crazy Egg or Hotjar. But really, those tools, as I have mentioned, they are really not new. So they have been around for quite a long time, and the market is always changing and improving. And there are some new strategies and technologies being applied today. So basically, what's happening today? It's a transition on the market around customer data platforms. Basically, what a customer data platform is, it's a piece of software that will help you on creating a gigantic database with big data of your users' behavior. So, and not only just build this database, it will help you on integrating everything that looks at the user's behavior. So it will be every time totally customer oriented tool. So it will look at how your user is behaving and how you should use their behavior in your favor. So if you want to know how many emails a user has received today, for example, or uh, which one is the favorite product color that the user has, everything that's basically related to what the customer is doing on your website, and basically that the user that you know about the user will be tracked and be injected in the customer data platform. We have some examples of customer data platforms that have been getting pretty big in the market. One of them is particle, another one is segment. They are basically, they work in similar ways. So they work with events and they basically integrate what the user is doing. And let's say for an example, I have an e-commerce again, and I need to integrate multiple systems that I may have on my site. I have a CRM system that's basically tracking, let's say, customer sales and maybe a ticket that a user opened requesting for help or something like that. We have our website that it's always being accessed all the time and sending data towards our data structure. We have a mobile app that is basically doing the same as the website. And we may have some systems that are offline. So let's say that I have a server that is basically validating if the transaction with a credit card was successful or not. Or we are validating if a user actually clicked on a link, but the page for some reason did not load, but we received something on our backend. These types of data that were generated by the user, they happen to be all across the systems that we may have. So a CDP basically integrates everything and will create a single view of the customer. And it will create a profile of the user, how the user has interacted with the website or the mobile app. It will know basically everything that has identified the user on your company before. And not only unifying the data, the customer data platform will make it accessible by multiple other platforms. So let's say that you want to build a strategy that will engage our customer through Google, and I want to engage the customer through Facebook and Instagram. A CDP will basically receive the same data that you know about your user and send this same data without the need of really implementing code or having to work a lot of in the integration of these platforms. And it will be basically managing the way that you are reaching your customer. So basically, the CDP will help you on building a smart marketing strategy. So reaching out the correct audience, not wasting your money on trying to reach someone that really would not even buy on your business. So that's the use of a CDP, and basically the market is leaning forward to this. Uh, and after implementing a CDP, we have your company will basically have a smart way of engaging your customer. Here are some examples and results of companies that have used event data and user behavior data and the CDP to improve their business gains or their recommendation engine or really improve their product overall. So Netflix got this has this huge viewer activity totally driven by recommendations. So their algorithm, it's basically what's most important in the platform. And their algorithm, it's totally based on events. So if you started to watch something, if you paused it, if you muted it, or anything that you were doing there, if you clicked on a recommendation and you did not like it and started watching another show, the algorithm will basically be trained on your user behavior, and it will be giving you better recommendations. Uh, Amazon sales work in a similar way. If you ever bought at Amazon, you will know that they have product recommendations based on something that you browse it through or something like that. Everything is totally based on events. Um, IBM Cloud, that's basically uh, a cloud service from IBM that it's similar to AWS and Microsoft Azure. They are basically increasing their revenue by 70% by just reaching and engaging the correct customer with the data that they capture through a CDP. And Digital Ocean, that is a startup from Europe. They are starting to use smart audience targeting, and they have improved 33% in cost per conversion just by using the CDP and really not engaging the wrong customer that would not use their product. And that's pretty much what you could achieve. As I had mentioned it some slides before, there are many ways of approaching the user behavior data, and I'm pretty sure that if your company start to use it, it will be better than the competition that it's basically assuming things based on personas that they create from the top of their heads. And that's it. Thank you, everyone. I'll open, I don't know if we have much more time left, but if anyone has some questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Yeah, Felipe, actually, on the chat, we're mentioning a little bit. So you were talking about, e-commerce, you have huge amount of users and you have a lot of data coming in. How do you not get overwhelmed? How do you choose what should be tracked? What's a metric? What's a goal? What kind of criteria should you use?
Right. So on an e-commerce, your basic metric will always be increase your conversion rate. So you want the customers to buy on your website or on your app. But there are many ways of tracking the conversion rate, and you could use on-site conversions instead of only looking at the transaction itself. Try looking at the user behavior funnel. So how does the user reach our website? What they do when they see a product? How do they behave when they reach the cart? It's basically following the steps that a user would take on your e-commerce. And normally an e-commerce will have page templates. So you don't need to keep in mind that, okay, I'll need to track every product, but a product, it's really just a page template. It's the same structure when you want to track it. So let's say that uh, if you want to track product A or product B, it will be the same way of tracking. And normally you will have lots of behaviors that, let's say, oh, the user it's going to use our menu or something like that. This will happen, but you don't need to actually try to check if the user clicked it there. You will know that the user clicked it there through page events that there are normally, again, based on page templates. And theoretically, an e-commerce should not have many templates because what you have to focus, it's basically on the product listings, on the products, on the user going to the cart, and following the checkout steps. You may need to check the after the sales, if the user is checking his home area and checking for his order. But really, what's important for you and what you should focus first is on having the conversion rate being tracked, and track these on-site conversions. There are steps until you reach the conversion.
And another thing here is, I think on e-commerce, when it comes to marketing and so on, is quite obvious. But when it comes to software development as a whole, can you give some examples from your career where you saw this changing the way, for example, either UX, UI was implemented based on this data, or even backend, which is not so obvious, the kind of shifts that you have?
Right. So I'll give you an example of the last company I have worked with at. They are an e-commerce too. Basically, they had Google Analytics implemented, but they only had it. It was not. It did not receive any updates, and it had no priority. So what was happening at that company is that they had Google Ads, and they basically relied like 90% of their investment in market through Google. So they were basically using Google Ads all the time, but there was no strategy. They were basically just paying all the time for receiving new customers, but they did not have any strategy around this. So what happened? It's basically they started a project with the customer data platform. And the main objective of implementing it was having a better marketing strategy. But in terms of code implementation and how did that follow up? Uh, the events again are based on a template of a page. So we basically followed a tracking plan at first, focusing on what was really important. And after we had everything tracked, we started to implement the CDP. And we were basically implementing it through page groups. So we started with the product page, and again, as I had mentioned it on the last question, we start with some steps. So first you start with the product page, then you can follow for the product listing, and etc. But at the end, what happened is that we started to have data and understand our users' behavior. And we had events and data to back up what they were doing on the website. So we knew which users were really buying our products. And after having that in mind, we started deploying some machine learning algorithms to really build traits and basically classify the specific users that we wanted to engage. After doing that, basically we started reaching Google with the correct audience that we had built. So instead of always wasting money on every user that happens to access Google and search for our products, we were actually looking for the right customer and not wasting our money on customers that would not even click on what we were showing them through Google Ads.
So again, you end up, you have two benefits there. One is that you stop wasting time and effort and money, and the second one is that you start making more money with less effort and less time.
Exactly. So in the end, it's basically a win in every aspect of it.
Okay. So guys, everybody else here on the call, everybody's really quiet. Anyone has any other questions or comments for Felipe? Okay, then I think we're good. Felipe, thank you very much for your time. I think this is a good spin on things. A little bit different technical aspects than we've been having in the last chats. And thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Bye bye, everybody. Have a good week. See you
Bye.
next Thursday.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.